Hello everyone, and welcome to Zim 10. Today's video is going to be about the history of Planet X and its path of past destruction. Many people say that the planet isn't real or doesn't exist. I am hoping after this video, if you are one of those people, you will be a believer. I am going to start off the history of Planet X from 3,600 years ago all the way back to 10,800 years ago. So let's get started. In the July 15th, 1999 paper published by the journal Geophysical Research Letters, the Sahara Desert's arid climate change occurred quickly and dramatically 4,000 to 3,600 years ago. A team of researchers headed by Martin Clausen of Germany's Potsdam Institution for Climate Impact Research analyzed computer modules of climate over the past several thousand years. Scientists concluded that the change to today's desert climate in the Sahara was triggered by changes in the Earth's orbit and the tilt of the Earth's axis. The switch in North Africa's climate and vegetation was abrupt. In the Sahara, we find an abrupt decrease in vegetation from a green Sahara to a desert scrubland within a few hundred years. No longer were grasses and other plants collecting water and releasing it back into the atmosphere. Now, sand baked in a stronger sun and rivers dried up. An unknown civilization with an alphabet that has yet to be deciphered lived in the Indus Valley, which is West Pakistan, around 1550 BC, and they disappeared. In the 29th year of King Chen, the last ruler of Hsai, the earliest recorded Chinese dynasty, the sun was dimmed, King Chen lacked virtue, the sun was distressed. During the last years of Chen, ice formed in the summer mornings and frosts in the month of July. Heavy rainfall toppled temples and buildings. The sun and moon were untimely. Hot and cold weather arrived in disorder. The 5 cereal crops weathered and died. Written during the reign of Emperor Qin, 1600 BC. In the Semitic culture, Hyksos was deposed in 1570 BC, and the Jewish exodus led by Moses happened shortly thereafter. This featured a river Nile filled with blood and water they could not drink. The Cycladic settlement on the island of Thera was destroyed by a great volcanic eruption, the Santorini eruption, about 1500 BC. It was several times greater in scope than the 1883 Krakatoa eruption. A study by Claude Jones of the Great Lakes showed that these lakes have only existed 3,500 years. This is confirmed by several geographical historical maps of Michigan, also available in Michigan libraries. Same result on Owen Lake in California and Albert and Summer Lakes in Oregon. Radiocarbon analysis also indicates that plants associated with mastodons in Mexico are probably only about 3,500 years. From observations on beaches throughout the world, researchers concluded that there was a change in ocean level which dropped 16 to 20 feet 3,500 years ago. Other researchers confirmed those findings with evidence derived from Europe. According to Basil Davidson, author of Lost Cities of Africa, new types of humanity appeared in Africa around 5000 BC. According to December 17, 1996 New York Times article titled Black Sea Deluge may be tied to spread of farming in Europe, an international team of geologists and oceanographers reconstructed the history of a catastrophic flood from data gathered by a Russian research ship in 1993. Seismic soundings and sediment cores revealed traces of the sea's former shoreline, showing an abrupt 500-foot raise in water levels. Radiocarbon dating back to the transition from freshwater to marine organisms in the cores put the timeline event about 7,700 years ago, 5,500 BC. According to the September 10, 1996 issue of the Seattle Times, the research ship JOIDES, Joint Oceanographic Institution for the Deep Earth Sampling. JOIDES is a Hubble telescope for the ocean, the most advanced drilling vessel in the world. It has 12 laboratories, more than 100 research computers, and can drill in water up to 27,000 feet deep. Joyce could easily see the light-colored ash deposited from the eruption of Oregon's Mount Mazama 6,950 years ago. That titanic eruption created Crater Lake and threw out at least 40 times as much magma as Mount St. Helens did in 1980 and serves as a useful marker to date mud layers. A giant wave flooded Scotland about 7,000 years ago. Scientists revealed the tsunami left a trail of destruction along what is now the eastern coast of the country. Scientists believe a landslide on the ocean floor of Storjega, southwest Norway, triggered the wave. Professor David Smith said a tsunami could strike again in the area, but the probability was extremely unlikely. Radiocarbon dating of sediments taken from the coastline of eastern Scotland put the date of the event at about 5,800 BC. At the time, Britain was joined to mainland Europe by a land bridge. Scientists believe settlers at the time would have had little warning of the disaster, but a scattering of tools found in the sand at the hunting camp in Inverness yields some clues. Tsunamis occur frequently in the Pacific Ocean due to underwater earthquakes, landslides, and volcanic explosions. Scientists hope to find more evidence of similar past tsunamis in eastern Scotland to predict the frequency of the destructive waves. Studies of coastal sediments show that it may be possible to develop a record of past tsunamis extending back several millennia. Dr. Ted Neild of the Geological Society of London said these events have a long and uncertain timescale. While there is no reason for mass panic, the possibility exists that the Storjega slide will go again. It would be imprudent to ignore the fact. The discovery of a forest 11,000 years old buried intact in Michigan with treetops poking through the sand has raised alarm about possible speed of global warming. 5-acre forest of hundreds of spruce just over 10 miles from the shore of Lake Superior was covered with sand and water when a nearby glacier melted at the end of Ice Age. What has shocked scientists is the analysis of the tree rings showing that the climate warmed so rapidly it left no mark on the normal growth of the trees before they were flooded. The conclusion based on the tree rings is that there was no real warning of dramatic warming that caused the glacier to melt. Theodore Bornhurst, professor of geology at Michigan Technological University, said the question today is whether we would get no warning of a real dramatic warming. We could have a dramatic shift in climate, he said. If the ice caps started melting, sea levels would rise dramatically with major problems for coastal cities. The heyday of the woolly mammoth was the Pleistocene epoch. Mammoths thrived particularly well in Siberia, where dry grasslands once stretched for hundreds of miles, supporting a vibrant ecosystem of mammoths, bison, and other jumbo herbivores. The mammoth fossils on Wrangel Island are the youngest to have ever been found. It is there, apparently, the mammoths made their last stand. It had always been thought that the mammoths died out about 10,000 years ago with the end of the Ice Age, but the tusks appeared to be 7,000 years old. It was so unlikely, so scientists tested 5 more tusks, but the new dates pointed to an even more remarkable conclusion. Hidden up in Wrangel Island in the Arctic, the mammoth hadn't just survived the end of the Ice Age, it was walking these hills at the time of the Egyptian pharaohs, only 3,500 years ago. Now here's a little information about Planet X. Nibiru, also known as Planet X, the 9th planet, as well as the 10th planet, is a term in the Akkadian language translating to crossing or point of transition. The Nibiru collision is a supposed disastrous encounter between the Earth and a large planetary object, either a collision or a near miss, which will cause the Earth to change orbit, go off axis, poles to shift, massive climate change, massive natural disasters, large-scale EMP shocking, ruining all of electronics, which certain groups of people believe it will take place early in the 21st century. Planet X, X being number 10 in the Roman numbers, comes from being the 10th planet after Pluto in our solar system, also known as the 9th planet, when Pluto was not a planet. Nibiru is said to be 10 times the mass of Earth, which would put it to the size a little greater than the size of Neptune. Well, that's all the time I have for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to comment and subscribe for more Zim 10 and other videos. Have a great day.